I was training, test your knowledge. We'll do a little bit of testing your knowledge. Of course, for if you are already certified, this will be a great revalidation whether you still know your stuff. And if you haven't, then anyway. And then Janet, who will be addressing demystifying clever adversarial strategies and tactics. I am super interested in this. Tactical tactics are always an issue. And then we'll talk about the post-meeting wrap-up. If you're not aware, we usually go to Roanoke. You're welcome to join us. Parking is horrendous. Just be prepared. And we usually find one spot where we can kind of gather. It is a little bit of a coin toss. So first person that's there, if you happen to be going there and you go, hey, I'm the first guy here, grab the table. No forward. So it's on you. Oh, board members. Thank you very much for all volunteers. We wouldn't be here without you. Jake, thank you very much. VP. Lori is not able to join us tonight. She's our treasurer. Stephen is doing our wonderful online stuff, and also the secretary, Agnes, who's been walking around the corner over there, director of communications. Yvette wasn't able to make it, it looks like, who is director of membership. Mike also wasn't able to make it. Normally, he's our AV guy. Paul, who education took over for AV, which is really wonderful, and Jean, who is our director at large. Next slide. I want to thank Menlo, who is our sponsor, and I believe they will become a continued sponsor because I believe their year is almost up. Also, donations from Microsoft keeps us afloat. CP submissions. I don't know if you can close that dialog box too, by the way, Paul. So for all of you here, I guess the question is, are we collecting it? So on Zoom, we're collecting the numbers there. Since Yvette is not here and does membership, can we do just do we have a piece of paper that we can collect?
No, I can bring one because we're doing this. But I'm assuming.
I would prefer.
We'll come up with
Frank,
a strategy for the folks in the room to make sure that we get your ISC2 number collected for your.
Can anyone hear me in the room?
If you went online, that's great. But in case you didn't go online, or yeah, I think that's the alternative. If you have your phone, just log in on, just go to the chapter, and even if you're not going to use a Zoom session, just fill in the form so that collects your ISC2 number, and then you get your credits. Probably a little easier doing it that way, thinking about it, than trying to drag some paper around.
We have a form on the website.
Excellent. And that gives you your, I believe we give two CPs for tonight. So we're on social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, and website. If you don't already have it, please grab a snap of it and follow us, join us. And sessions that we do have permission to post, we post on YouTube for future review. Next slide. Oh, cool. All right. How many of you are budding writers, especially in the tech field? All right, so this is a call from ISC2 International. They're looking for new content. ISC2 Insights is the publication that is produced by ISC2. It's an opportunity to connect actually pretty decent credits if you need them. So article of 800 words or longer is 20 CPEs for the author, and then even and less than.
What's the generative AI policy for ISC2?
What is the generative?
I can generate now, right? Good question.
Oh wait, I'm gonna beat you to it.
All right, so go for it. I don't see any reason. There may be a question of ethics, but then even that becomes a little bit questionable since we are in cyber and we are in technology. I don't know. I'm kind of torn about that one. So answer to your question is I don't know, and I'll leave it in that space. Actually, you know what? I'd be glad to co-author something with somebody. I'm always interested in writing something. So if you are interested, talk to me after the session, and I'll be glad we can actually pick a topic and do a presentation or do a submission. I always love to do fun stuff like that. What's that?
How about privileged access
Privileged access workstations. I think I could probably write about that, or SDL. or threat modeling.
SS again?
Well, yeah, plenty of topics. Or how about S-bombs? It's something I'm actually spending a lot of time on. Couple of sessions coming up, March 14th, April 8th through 11th. So we have the Leadership Exchange, the Summit, Linux Security Summit, April 18th, 19th. That's going to be a good one. I've tried to attend that one. B-side, I wish I'd be around for April 27th. That's going to be really cool. And I think that's sold out. And then still available? Oh, I just don't think I'm going to be around. Secure World Seattle, November 6th and 7th, will be most likely hosting our chapter meeting during the November session at the event.
Like 97%.
97% chance I will do that. Next slide. The Certified in Cybersecurity program. I mentioned this earlier. This is a great way to get your foot in the door. It's a very simple, well, very simple. It is a simpler opportunity if you haven't gone through any of the certification. It's a way to receive your certification number. Only cost involved in it that you would have to contribute beside your time to actually study is the $19.95 to buy the book. And it's not to us, that's actually the cost of the book on Amazon, I think. And I think it's on Amazon. IC2, I'm sure, makes something off of it. What we will be doing is hosting a one Saturday weekend session. So it'll be expected that you do pre-read and be familiar with the material, at least have gone through it. We're looking sometime in April, May. Optimistically, we will be hosted at the University of Washington, Bothell, or alternatively downtown Seattle, but that's still being figured out. So the target is that there'll probably be college students there too. So again, the idea is that we really want to encourage this. Now, based on how this event occurs, I would like to think our chapter will be hosting these possibly every couple of months, just to try to help, again, everybody come through it. So for those of you, if you're willing to raise your hand, that you're not certified today and attending. 1, 2, 3. Not certified for, you don't have an ISC2 number. Excellent. So would you see a benefit if we host this event, you get your certification? It's probably like 4 hours of your life. It's not a huge commitment that we'd be looking for. And ironically, it'd be proctored by myself, by Gene. So you have people that actually know this stuff. In fact, Gene kind of wrote the book on a lot of this. Some of it, just some of it. And probably Paul too. You'll probably be there too, right? If we pick a date, that works for you?
Yeah.
See, the board will be there and we'll be going through, I think there's 8 chapters covering all the key domains that are currently required for you to be aware of. I think that the page count was maybe less than 300 pages for the whole book. What's that? Yeah, and then again, if you have any questions, that'll be a great opportunity to kind of figure stuff out, including testing your knowledge. So talking about testing your knowledge, for certified, this is a chance for you to prove the fact that you still know your stuff. For everybody else, this is what you can expect in the test. Which one of the following is not a normal task of a SEM? I'll give everybody a chance to think about it. And then I'm going to do the hand holding of shame to see if you guys know your answers. All right. Number 1. So answer is correlate records. No hands. Aggregate log entries. Show of hands. No. Identity trends. Or block unwanted. So, okay. All right. And okay. And what's the answer? Next slide. There we go. Block unwanted traffic. Collecting, aggregating, and using them to identify potential events and threats. They do not block traffic as they are a reporting analysis tool. So this is the correct answer. Excellent. I am reviewing the security of a customer's environment and find that they are using the password authentication protocol app on their network. What findings should I bring to the customer's attention? And interestingly enough, I've actually done this. PAP is not compatible with non-Windows operating systems. No. Number two, PAP is commonly configured by attackers, and this may be a sign that the network is compromised. I like that answer. No. PAP is an insecure protocol. One hand, kinda. No finding is necessary as PAP is a commonly used secure protocol. Still no hands. Man, you guys really didn't want to answer on anything. All right. And the answer is? Yeah, 3? Yeah. It is insecure. So I think the statement here is PAP is doesn't provide encryption. So probably one of the major reasons why you don't use, you'd probably not use PAP. PAP is very old. Yeah, very, very old. So that's another thing. Actually, it's easier to remember. PAP is really old. So if you ever see that come up in a test, remember that PAP is really old and you'll go, oh my God, this is like was written at a time when everybody trusted the internet.
Prior to web, Windows.
Yeah, it's pretty old. One more. This is a great question. At what point is in a legal dispute should an organization involve the dispute issue, the litigation hold for evidence? So hold for evidence is primarily the thing to watch for as they receive the subpoena, as soon as a lawsuit is filed, as soon as they believe evidence is at risk of destruction, as soon as they believe the lawsuit might occur. In my opinion, I don't even know if I want to try to answer this one. I actually have a hard time thinking about this. Let's ask the attorney in the room here for which is the right answer. We have 2 attorneys in the room.
This is definitely one of those where it's like, choose the best answer.
Choose the best
as
answer.
opposed to like the clear right answer. I guess 3, I would go, yeah.
I would
That's-
select 3. I mean, the main bar here is when something's happened and you realize that the risk is growing, that there might be liability to a third party, there might be a problem with legal risk.
All right, let's test to see if our attorneys are correct.
See, the thing is that, like, this is a terrible, these are terrible.
That was lawyer answer number 1. Next.
Depends on the.
And the answer is drum roll
Yeah.
4. Oh.
That's not.
They believe is
One.
A belief, yeah. There's a lot of things that I can believe.
A lawsuit might occur. That's the whole point.
But it's also, it might not be a lawsuit, it might be a government investigation.
Yeah,
The
that's
attorney- The Attorney General's office.
So here's the one takeaway that's really important. No. Here's the important thing is that these questions are deceptive at times. And it does require some review to make sure that you read through the guidance that is provided that is provided in the training. I'm sure there's a line in the document somewhere that says, this is what ISC2 believe is the right answer. But you know what? I would say it may be worth a challenge. All right. Excellent. I love this question.
I know. How are we feeling? Yeah.
All right.
What is material, yeah. What is the definition of material?
All right, Janet. Yes, please. I'll just give you a chance to get over to your presentation.
Yep.
So we'll switch over. And meanwhile, our esteemed speaker tonight is Jeanette Lawless, which comes with tons of experience and lawyer history with associations like us and physical security, which I don't do anymore. Well, you have 2 of them, so you're set, so you don't need that. I don't think it's clicking though. So I think that you're gonna have to rely on looking at Paul to get it.
Give me a second.
Did it work? Oh,
So I have, in threat intelligence, which we'll discuss. I do a lot of physical security also, so I was the chapter chair for ASIS in Seattle. And the reason I'm telling you this is because in a physical security meeting, if you go like this and you point at somebody, everybody is like throwing their weapons.
One second, just getting ready to share. Yes, I'm working on it.
It's not just a lawsuit, it's when you think that there's risk to the company, or to the organization.
Three is the best.
I agree. I object, the gentleman at the back.
Yeah, whatever.
Uh, All right, can we hear audio?
Audio?
Yes.
Hello? Hello? Is this too cute or what? It's like a little bunny. Oh, by the way, we are gonna have fun tonight. So if you don't wanna have fun, don't leave, just stay. Are we good?
Hold on a second.
Please hold. Well, while you're doing that, I just want to thank everybody.
Yeah, I think they're excluding us now.
This one has a red light on.
I have
That one's
green.
just a green light. This one is one of each. Okay. Okay. You're back.
And we're back.
All right.
Yay. So how many people love this picture? Is this a great picture or what? I saw that. I'm like, I had to do that. Okay. So as you know, because they've said it like 15 times, I'm Janet Lawless. Whoops. Pictures. I am the CEO and founder of Center for Threat Intelligence. And here's my information. If you don't have my information, here are more cards. I brought a ton of cards today. So you have it. Oops, you are going to have to click for me because it's not clicking.
It should click. Try one more time.
Oh, there it goes. Did you do that? No, I did that. We are so technical here, aren't we? So just a few things about Center for Threat Intelligence. So we are a network of intelligence specialists and experts from all of these different military. We also have civilians as well. Did I have NCIS in there? Yes, NCIS is there also, which I kind of think is cool because it's a program on TV. We do strategy development, insider threat programs. I also have a certification. I'm not sure I'm supposed to say that, but we have a certification I'll be talking about also on threat intelligence. Also, we are an approved provider for Homeland Security. So the key takeaways today are going to be the clever strategies and tactics of our adversaries. The other more important key strategies, key takeaways that you really, really need to remember, and there will be a quiz at the end. I watch too much TV. This is a key takeaway. And I love science fiction. So that's what you need to know. So we will boldly go where no one has gone before. Too soon? Maybe. I'd like you to think about this. So there's a lot of different things that I'm going to be talking about, and a lot of the holistic things about threat intelligence. We were talking about physical security. That's all part of threat intelligence. So wipe your slate clean. It's like, just wipe your mind clean, be open to some of the things I'm saying. And you may not agree, you may agree. It's like, just be open to thinking about these things. So let's talk about some threats. There are environmental threats, obviously. So we have hurricanes. Oh, we have unknown threats. Science fiction, we don't know. So we have unknown threats. We have threats in outer space. There was, I think, in 2017, I think it was, where an asteroid went between Earth and the moon. Whoa, and they didn't see it coming. Now that is a threat. Of course, there's viruses, and there's all sorts of new viruses coming out, or so they say. And I'm sure there are, by the way. And because who are we? There are many, many hackers out there. And of course, well, wait a minute. What's she doing up here? This is Jenny. Everybody loves Jenny. She's happy, she's fun. Everybody loves her. But guess what? Jenny is an insider threat. So you can't have a presentation without actually talking about what intelligence is, right? You have to have the definition. So the definition is evidence-based knowledge. You can read this yourself, obviously. It's actionable. Sometimes it's not actionable. Sometimes you just know it's there. It could come up in a year or two. It's like somebody maybe on the network, somebody could have infiltrated your organization as an insider threat, but it can be actionable. And it's basically to harm your organization, one of your assets. And it could be a number of different types of asset. It could be a physical asset, could be on your network, different types of assets. And that was from Gartner. So why is threat intelligence important? Because at any given time, 2/3 of the world is awake. Cool. Except for the fact that up to 15% are doing something a little shady with exhibiting questionable behavior. So if that's 15% in here, let's see who, well, we won't want to point anybody out. And my name is Lawless, so it could be me. And really, my name really is Lawless. I didn't make that up, just so you know. So we're going to, again, talk about a holistic approach to threat intelligence. So a holistic approach, what on earth is she talking about, or beyond? So when you look at a holistic thing, it's all these different types of people or organizations that could be a threat to your organization. So it could be nation states, organized crime, hackers, geopolitical, natural disasters. Those are the types of things. Now, what's important in the holistic part of it, it can be human, technology, physical, cyber, pandemics, etc. It can be all those things, but most importantly, it's not just one, it's working all together. And that's the holistic approach. So anybody here from the military? Well, or former, thank you for serving. Thank you for serving. So in the military, they want to say left of boom. And we're going to, now remember this, there will be this quiz at the end. So left of boom, because this is anticipating and preventing an incident. If you get to boom, this is where you've got your incident. And this is a problem because once you get right of boom, you have to respond to that incident. So we want to stay left of boom. So let me make sure you're paying attention. Where do we want to stay? Left of boom. Okay, great. Thank you. By the way, I was a teacher. When dinosaurs ruled the earth, I was a teacher. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, what could possibly go wrong? I took the slide out of my presentation one time, and sure enough, at the end, somebody said, you know, you should have a slide on what could go wrong. So I brought it back in. So you can, again, you can read a lot of these things on your own, but financial, operational. One of the things that is frightening on physical is that people can die. And they have. And it's sad, but it's unfortunately true. And that's like, there's a lot of threats out there. You never know who's going to do what. Somebody could die. I have an example in here that someone did something to an airplane and people did almost die. We'll talk about that. Lawsuits, regulatory, etc. Guess what? The threat landscape is changing. Now, I know this shocks most of you. Maybe some are not surprised, but it's changing. In fact, oh, did you feel that? It wasn't an earthquake. It's changed. So our private sector is at grave risk from a concerted effort of resources of a determined nation state. That sounds kind of scary, but it's true. Nation states are out there. They're huge, obviously, and they're after us. In fact, I look at it as the Goldilocks effect. So no organization is too big. Nobody's too small. Any industry role or geography is out of bounds. And everything is just right. In any organization, you never can tell. So do we have to keep our guard up all the time? Well, I'm sorry, but yeah. It's story time. So I have one of my advisors that was actually paid to actually go into a hospital and steal a doll. Hi there. We call it, he always called it a plastic baby. Now he was paid to do this by the hospital, so it was all, you know, all ethical. So he went in and I said, well, how did you do it? And he said, well, first I got kind of lazy. And I ended, again, one person did this. And I said, really, what'd you do? And he goes, well, I could have gone in and stolen, you know, I should have taken a badge. But instead, I just hacked into their network and I put in my profile. And then I called HR and I said, hey, you know what? I lost my badge. So can I come in? And they had his picture already because he had his profile. So then he just walked in to HR. He said, hey, I need my badge. They gave it to him. No questions asked. There was a profile. So then later in the evening, he walked into the hospital, walked right past security, showed his badge, walked into the nursery. But what he did before he did that, he went into their cameras. Now we're talking a lot of physical security, right? So he moved the cameras away from the door so they couldn't see him. But he had the badge to get in anyway. So he went in, he took the doll, walked out. But before he walked out, and actually before all of this, he said, you know what I did too? He said, again, I was kind of bored. So I hacked into their pharmacy just to show them that I could. And then he walked out of the building. And I said, wow, they must have been thrilled to death to know all the security issues. He goes, oh no, they were very upset. So that was one person, human, technical, physical, all those different things with one event, one person. I'm glad he's on my side, by the way.
No sweat.
Yeah. Know your adversaries. Anybody know who this is? Oh, come on. Thank you, The Predator. I love those movies. There's like 15 million of them. I've watched every single one like 15 times. So know your adversaries. Who is actually after you? Anybody know what this is from? Yes, Battleship. Love that movie too. That's awesome. I think I've only watched that 20 times though. So the characteristics of an attack is focus, tactics, they have the capability to actually do it. They have motivation, opportunity, strategy, intent, and procedures. So if someone, for example, decides that they're going to hack into Microsoft, they may have the motivation, but if they don't have the capabilities, then they're not going to do it. So they, again, all of these things or some of these things should actually be there in an attack. And these are the things you need to look for. And it's a big thing on focus. What are they focused on that you have? I don't know. Credit card, personal information, intellectual property. You don't know, but you should, and you'd better. Okay, the fundamental aspects of an adversarial focus. Seriously, do I watch a lot of TV and sci-fi or what? So Independence Day, this is my favorite thing. We had 20 years to prepare. So did they. But it's so applicable to cybersecurity and any threat intelligence. You know, we're preparing, but you know, again, so are they. So this is Independence Day. How many people have seen this movie? Okay, great. I won't ruin it for everybody. We win at the end. Oh, I'm sorry. How about Cowboys and Aliens? Okay, this is a sleeper sci-fi movie. If you haven't seen it, it's great. So in Independence Day, the focus of the aliens is to come over and take over Earth because they messed up their planet, so they need a new one. Where have you heard that before? Cowboys and Aliens?
Seriously?
Yeah. I know, but we did. And Cowboys and Aliens, it's like aliens are after gold, but again, aliens are usually after gold. So this is a really good sleeper movie. It's shocking because it sounds really dumb. And maybe, of course, I've watched it way too many times. But anyway, but again, the focus is they're after gold. So they know what the focus is. They know, and they definitely have capabilities because they're aliens. But somehow, you know, again, we win. Capability. Why am I showing you a picture of a huge alligator? That's like 20 feet long. This actually crocodile. This crocodile is 20 years old. No, I'm sorry, 68 years old. This has wreaked havoc in a place in Indonesia. It just likes killing people. That's it. That's the motivation. Sometimes it, yeah, exactly. Sometimes it eats people. Sometimes it just kills them. This is a threat to everybody who lives there. It's not a cyber threat, obviously. I don't think it has a computer. It's a physical threat. But again, look at the capability of these threats, you know, and what type of threat it actually is. AI. This, if you haven't seen iRobot, it's all about artificial intelligence. And wow, where have we heard that before? You know, there's all sorts of deep fakes and all this kind of good stuff. I mean, I could be an artificial, I mean, I could be a synthetic. You never know. I'm not. I don't think. But again, the intent of AI is in this particular case, take over everything, you know, the usual thing. And guess what? Yes. Go figure. I also watch really good happy movies at the end. I like those too. I like when we win. I'm kind of like that. And finally, the motivation could just be love. So again, a lot of different motivations, capabilities, and all those things, but you have to keep an open mind to what is going on and ask questions, because that is so, so important. So understand adversarial tactics. Insider threat, phishing, psychological, that's a good one. We'll talk about some psychological ones also. Physical attacks, social engineering. I love social engineering, and I do it by accident.
Is that social engineering?
It is social engineering, and I do it completely by accident, which is kind of interesting, and I'll talk about that in a second. Extortion, technical attacks, like moving the cameras. By the way, I asked him, I said, did you move the cameras back? And he said, of course I did. Timing, deception, and network attacks. So understand the focus. So this is actually from the FBI Chronicles, true story. I should probably ask, Are there any nation state spies in the room? No, put your hand down. I really didn't mean to, you know. Because I'm about to talk about China and Russia and a lot of nation states. So in this particular, why am I showing you corn? I mean, are you hungry? I'm just, yeah.
All of the seed.
Yes, exactly. So China decided that they needed the GMO corn seeds. And so what they did is they sent in an insider threat. They hacked their network, but they didn't stop there. They actually sent in physical people to go over the fences and break into the crops. Now, here's something interesting. They caught these guys 5 times. So clearly they weren't very good at physical security. I mean, physical attacks. So they caught them 5 times. Now, over here, you've got all these people breaking in to the field. And over here, you have all these network attacks going on. Now, if you're not talking to each other, you wouldn't know that there was actually a major attack, going on right there, and especially with the insider threat. So there was a Chinese national that was sent to prison for stealing trade secrets. Insider threat. This, you can be an accidental insider and you won't even know it. It's absolutely amazing. So 51% of companies are concerned about unintentional insider attacks. This is where you didn't even think of what you were doing, you just did it. And all of a sudden, it's like somebody came in, phishing attacks, those kind of things. So, and also 49% worried about a malicious insider, 67% worried about phishing. So you guys look, and even the ones on out there, probably watching Biden right now. So you kind of look like you need some exercise. So we're going to do a dexterity test. Everybody put your hand up if you want to. Put your hand up, either hand, doesn't matter. 5 fingers. Okay, now this is hard for me because take your hand and go like this all the way down to your pointer finger, wrong finger back there. Okay, thank you. Okay, now go like this. You're an insider threat because you just clicked on a phishing attack. So you have to be, we always have to be worried about these things, and it happens. At Tesla, one of the guys actually at Tesla in 2020 created a false username, got into their operating system, and then sent it to an unknown third party. We can only guess on who that was. Then this is one of my favorite stories also. The Tesla employee, he went out, he was Russian. One of his friends came from Russia to visit. So they went out drinking. And the gentleman from Russia said, hey, can you put this on your network for me? And the guy went, it didn't seem right. And he said, hey, I know we're really good friends and I appreciate you being here, but I don't think I should do that. And so he tried to convince him. I don't know how much alcohol was involved. However, the person from Tesla actually reported it and they caught the guy. So that was social engineering gone bad. Malicious insider. So here is a maintenance worker on a 737-800. It was approaching the departure runway. I get chills thinking about this, really. 150 passengers on board. Negotiations were going on with the mechanics union and they were at an impasse. Now the problem was, it was affecting his pay. One person affecting his pay. So he went out from the maintenance to the tarmac and he switched something up on the plane. And he thought, no big deal, right? So they were about to take off. And fortunately, a light came on as they were ready to take off. And the captain saw it, as they usually do. The captain saw it and they shut it down and they came back. And so they caught him. And do you know what he had to say? Yeah, exactly. Whoops, you caught me. He said, so here's 150 people that could have been killed. And he said, I really didn't think they'd get that far. That's what he had to say. So this is malicious. And as I said, actually a lot of people could have been killed just because one person was disgruntled and having a bad day. So also He shouldn't have been on the tarmac. So this is where if you see something, say something. You see somebody out of place, they probably are. So social engineering. Ooh, my little pretty. Two-factor authentication. This always works, right? Yeah, absolutely. Always works. Well, a gentleman called the guy that was an administrator at Uber, and said, hey, I got to get into this. I got to get into this file. Can you give me can you look on your phone and give me the two-factor authentication? And the guy said, no. So, oh man, come on. And he said, no. Hung up. Called him again in a few minutes. Said, I really need this. This is my job. I really need this. I think they said they called him 5 times. And finally, the guy just got tired of it and said, okay, fine, here. Whoops. Major attack at Uber because one person got tired of this guy begging him because it was his job and all this kind of good stuff. Now, here's my social engineering by accident story. So I was working at the University of Washington. We were actually doing a class there on threat intelligence. And I walked in with this huge suitcase. So march right into the security guy. And I forgot my phone in my car, of all things. And so here I have this huge suitcase. Guy doesn't know me. And I said, I am so sorry. I said, can I just leave this here behind, in the building, behind you? Because I left my phone in the car. And he goes, okay. I said, you can look in it if you want. He should have. And I told him, I said, there's books and food. I said, you can look in it if you want. And he goes, no, that's fine. And I said, okay, great. So then what did I do that was a huge red flag? I turned and I ran out of the building. Now that should have been a red flag. I just said, here, can you keep this? And I'm going to run out of the building. Well, I did run to my car, obviously, to get my phone. But social engineering, I have plenty of stories like that. Again, total by accident, but people are like, because we prefer to be nice than to be safe. Think about that. When it's like, you can be nice and you can be safe. Just ask questions. Here's some old school espionage. You hire the maintenance workers. There you go. They go in, you tell them what to look for. It may be even, I heard a story one time that, our FBI people do this or did this, whatever. So old school. This is an awesome story. It's about World War II, and it's basically helped win the war against the Nazis. So what they did is, we were trying to go into Normandy, and we had to fake out Hitler so he didn't know to send all of his troops, because he could have, and we would have lost the war. So instead, and I think England also, they went and they basically got students, not people in the army. They got students, they got artists and all these things. And they pretended to have this huge infantry or, what do they call those things? A huge, thank you, battalion on the other side of the English Channel. And then they put General Patton in charge, because General Patton, Hitler had a great respect for him. And he thought, well, if he's in charge, then this must be serious. And he was telling his people, you know what, they're going to attack. We have all this information. So what they did is they made these tanks out of rubber. You could just go and flip them over if you wanted to. They had these huge sound things where you could listen to what sounded like people, a rumble. And then they sent people out, and they were actors also. I love this too. They would send them out to the bars, and then they would pretend that they were drunk, and they would pretend that they were giving all the secrets up. It was great. And they fell for it. Another one on sophisticated attacks. So what they did on this one to get the wind tunnel information is they went out and they went to the company, and you got to watch out for those salespeople, because I used to be one. I still kind of am. So they went to the salespeople and they said, we are going to buy your technology. And they said, awesome. So they did the order. It was for $800 million in products. And let me tell you, that'd be some wild commission. So yeah, hello. It was a Chinese company that said they were going to buy it. So what they did, they bought it. Then they got the guy who actually did some of the operating systems and said, you know what? They don't appreciate you. Look what you're making. Not a lot of money. So he decided to become an insider threat, and it was devastating outcomes. And why do we know about this? Because they caught him. And how did they catch him? Completely by accident, which is a lot of times how people are caught, by the way. So what they did is they were silly enough to send all the plans that they stole, basically, all the intellectual property, to the same manufacturer that this company used. And so one very astute engineer saw the plans and went, wait a minute, there's a problem. This is the same as this one. And they caught him. That's how they caught him. The engineer went, these are the same plans, and it shouldn't be. So this seems really hard. You against nation states? Seriously? Can you do it? Can you personally go up against a nation state in what you do in your jobs? Of course you can. I'm going to tell you how one of my clients actually did it. So it was the University of Washington. And we had done all the training for threat intelligence. So during COVID, I was talking to them and I said, and they didn't call me back for a while. So I thought, well, maybe they're mad, maybe they're sick. I don't know. I wasn't hurt at all. So he finally called me back. Jim Poland, if you know Jim Poland, actually called me back and said, sorry, I didn't call you back. We have been stopping the Iranians from attacking our network. I said, wow, that's amazing. When I first met them, they had 2 people in threat intelligence. I think now they might have 5. That's a huge, we know, it's a huge university. I said, well, how did you do that? And he said, well, first, they were coming in all the time. And we finally stopped and said, all right, wait. We took Janet's training and we learned the strategies and tactics and how to put things together. And we decided to just stop what we were doing because clearly it wasn't working. And they put it together with sense making. They put the patterns together on when they were attacking and how they were attacking. And when I talked to them, they'd stopped them 5 times. Just a very small team looking at, again, putting all the patterns together, and they stopped them. And then what they did is they put the processes together and they started shipping it out to all of the universities so they could see how to stop it, because the Iranians were coming into the library system because we had sanctions on them. And there was a lot of classified documents that, quite frankly, they wanted. So intelligence is important and it's cool. So wait, now what do? Well, you change the game. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is from Jurassic World. And it is the Tyrannosaurus Rex standing there. Anybody seen Jurassic World? Okay. So, there's this woman by the way, in heels that's standing there, which is very practical, by the way. And she opens the Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock and she's standing there with a flare and to get it out. And then she turns and she runs in her heels and she makes it. And so the little boy told her, said, we don't have enough teeth. And she said, what? And he said, we don't have enough teeth. So here's this little boy changing the game. And guess what happened at the end? We won. So you've got to create an enterprise-wide threat intelligence system. This is what you absolutely have to do in an environment. You understand your unique threat landscape. It may not just be intellectual property that they're looking for. It could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be hardware, software, and in hospitals, information, people, babies, and then move to a proactive approach. Okay, so where do you start? Good question. First and foremost, you need to get executive approval and commitment. You can get executive approval pretty easily because, seriously, threat intelligence, we're going to know when the bad guys are coming in. Okay, fine. But get the commitment. You've got to get the commitment. develop a baseline. Know what they're looking for and know who or what is looking at it. Do a threat intelligence assessment. And this isn't the usual NIST assessment. This is really understanding who is after you. Is it a nation state? Is it organized crime? Is it some kid in the basement? You know, you need to understand who is after you and what do they want. Again, capability, focus. Do a scorecard. We also did a threat intelligence assessment for University of Washington. It was really funny. I was at Secure World last year, and this gentleman comes up to me and he goes, "I know you." Well, I see so many people all the time. I'm like, okay. And he goes, "I'm with Homeland Security." I put up my hands. And he said, "I used to work at the University of Washington." He goes, "But it was before you taught everybody." And I said, "Okay." And I'm thinking, I don't know how you know me, but okay, cool. And he said, "I used to use the assessment that you did for the university all the time." He said, "I loved it. It was so helpful." And I'm like, wow, I mean, this is like, 6 years ago. And he's like, "Yeah, I use it all the time." And he goes, "And even though I went to Homeland Security, I know they still use it." So get an assessment, understand who's actually after you and their strategies and tactics. This is a good pyramid. I also like Egypt, but that's a lot on TV. So again, is it some kid that's sitting in the basement? Is it moving up to disgruntled workers? Is it, regular crime groups that, somewhat have the capability? Or are you going all the way up to the top to a nation state? Now, remember, it doesn't matter how big your organization is. If a nation state like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, any nation state, bless you, any nation state is after you, they're probably, they have hundreds and hundreds of people. It's like you may be a two-person organization, but you need to realize what is at stake. Here's an example of what China's looking for. China has a 2025 plan, and these are all the different industries that they're looking at. So for example, aircraft components, biotechnology, clean energy vehicles, Uber, as an example, Tesla, new materials, advanced technology. And again, it's called Made in China 2025. You can actually look it up on the internet. They have it on the internet, so you can find that. But see if you're a Chinese target. You may be. You just don't know. And I'm sure there's more that they're looking at as well. Build an intelligent strategy. It's not hard. But if you only have 2 people in your large organization, it can be kind of difficult. So build the strategy and follow the strategy, because they have their strategy and they have their tactics, and you should too. So again, analyze, understand, develop, identify, determine shifting threat landscapes. Because if you're here and the landscape's over here, you're already behind the times. And discover. Also, do a framework. And so we actually help people with frameworks also, but it's like governance, do the assessments, understand that, operations, dissemination, and maintenance. When I talk about dissemination, this is key. How many people have heard about convergence in security? Okay, so in convergence, there's a lot of different definitions for it. The one I'm talking about is, again, it's a holistic approach of physical security, cybersecurity, insider threat, etc. Now, one of the big things that you all, I'm sure you're thinking about this like every night. And so you're just like, I wonder if these nation states worry that I have my 5 people in my budget and somebody over here has 5 people in their budget. Now, what if they take one of my people? Now, I'm sure that these nation states are concerned about your political environment in your organization. I'm sure they are. Guess what? I'm wrong. They don't care. They don't care if you've been here for 5 or 10 years and Joe or Cindy or somebody is going to come over and take your place. They don't care. They are working throughout your entire organization. So if you silo your communications and you're not talking to the attorneys, the legal department, yeah, Jake, I just said that, legal, HR, all these different departments, you're going to be in trouble. Because they are looking at all of those things and their strategy is to bring everything together. And you've got to also, you need to talk to everybody and get everybody on board. Because again, there's people breaking into the field. I'm in cyber, I don't care. Well, you should. And then train everyone, because what we usually do is we train everybody on insider threat because there's a compliance thing. And so we have to check the box on compliance, obviously. But we try to train everyone on threat intelligence. Again, understanding what people are after, what they're going to do, what the focus is, how they might do it, just so people are aware. And it's not basic security awareness. It is, again, a holistic approach. So you understand, like HR is now talking to the legal department, talking to the sales department, like when they were stealing the stuff and saying it was a big sale. That's what's important. So training. So again, executive approval, develop a baseline, build a strategy, incorporate a framework, create a communication plan, and include the entire organization, so important, and get everyone trained on threat intelligence. The benefits of an in-house threat program, obviously, is you protect your current investments, just like security and cybersecurity, cost management, brand integrity, because everything can go wrong. And it often does. And again, people can get hurt and people can get killed. It also demonstrates an executive level due diligence and duty of care. That's also important. And it helps enhance your career. If you can say that you understand threat intelligence, not just from a cybersecurity standpoint, but from a holistic approach. All right, I'm almost done. Why am I showing you trees? You just have to ask yourself, it's like, now where is she going, right? So in the environment, if you go into a forest, the forest communicates with itself. There are all sorts of roots and everything. So if some part of the forest is under attack by something, it actually communicates, and they've done scientific studies on it, I'm not just making this up, but it actually communicates to other parts of the forest to say, there's a problem, there's a threat. And trees and mold or moss and bushes and those kind of things, they also have mechanisms that they can be left a boom, and they can put enzymes and poisons and stuff in their leaves and their needles so they can protect themselves. So if they can do it, we can do it. So you are the person that can make the difference. You can do this. Sometimes it just takes a little thing to make a difference, and you can do that. So think out of the box. Think holistically, introduce an enterprise intelligence approach, build a holistic security approach, and stay, look at the picture, ready? Left of boom. So I always like to leave with a quote, and again, so one person can make a difference, and everyone should try. I have a great story for that. I won't bore you with it, so we can talk about that later if you'd like. Here is the certification that we have. It is online, it's on-demand training. You take the Threat Intelligence Fundamentals course. You can get the Certified Threat Intelligence Specialist 1 by taking the course and obviously taking the assessment. And here, I tried to make up a really tough code, right? Because I thought, this is a cybersecurity, so I should make up something really good.
Uppercase, lowercase.
Oh yeah, and check out it's got a number right there. So anyway, so here's the secret code. There is a discount, obviously, and it is all capital. And if you have any questions, then you can just go ahead and call me, and because you have my card, right? Are there any questions? Okay, I'll be around the weekend because I'll be trying to figure out how to turn off my computer.
While we switch over.
Yes, and again, thank you.
One of the things that I wanted to kind of like mention, have you heard of pig butchering?
No,
Have you guys heard of that?
no.
So it is actually a new, it's been around for a little while. It is an online scam talking about protecting yourself where anybody can be susceptible. So there's two primary attack vectors for pig butchering. And of course, this is being
Oh,
done.
pig butchering,
pig
yes,
butchering.
okay, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's either, it's social engineering where an individual is either aiming for love, right? They're targeting you because there's a lot of people that are looking for romance. They start a great relationship with you. And again, it's that building the relationship.
Right.
Primarily, number one thing is building the relationship. Once a relationship is established, they mentioned the fact that they're very successful at making money. And it turns out that they've got an in, use some cryptocurrency. Turns out, of course, you can actually withdraw some money after, and it turns out that the returns are 20%, 30%. Fantastic. Works great.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, through the friendship relationship,
Bye
they keep,
now, standing by.
but yeah. So it keeps building, it keeps building.
Yeah.
People have literally lost their entire lives through this process. I mean, they go for $300,000-$400,000 or more, whatever that they can actually squeeze out. And then it's a rug pull at the end, obviously, because it's not real cryptocurrency. What's really interesting, I thought it's a rug pull. Oh, it's not real. So what's really interesting is that, so the attacks are primarily coming from, obviously Asian locations, China, and I think mainly, actually, a lot of it is Hong Kong. So it's a lot of fraudulent systems. And these kids actually get pulled into it that run these rug pulls, run this whole thing. They're tech savvy, number one. Number two is they're literally given a binder and training, weeks of training, up to 2 weeks of training on how to social engineer. Yeah, they teach them how to become these attackers, and they are unfortunately now as much of a victim in this whole process as the people they're victimizing. And yeah, the question I was interesting is, again, talk about social engineering to an extreme. So this is actually something that, of all the things, my wife recently just received a very lovely communique from somebody saying that she's just looking for a friend. I was like, oh, please give me your phone. Let me.
Yeah, I want to play with this one.
Oh, yeah, totally. She's like looking at me like, not
No.
gonna happen. At that time, I had to kind of fill her in on the story of pig butchering, because like she was like,
Oh, yeah.
this is, and it starts out very, very innocent. I mean, the whole innocence of the communique, the innocence of how the social engineering mechanism that's utilized. So very fascinating outcome. And they're not only targeting like so-called relationships, but even friendship. I mean, it's just a level of, it's almost a very benign introduction to a relationship that doesn't have to mean anything emotional. Well, of course there's emotional, but it's not like a
Right.
Love relationship. Sometimes it's just purely friendship.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And if your intuition, if you're feeling the spidey sense and your intuition tells you that there's something wrong or it's just kind of not right. And this has happened to me with people that have said, oh yeah, well, I'm from this country and I'd really like to be friends. It's like, so what financial institution do you use?
all right. So now after I mentioned that, by the way, to all my friends, I have this cryptocurrency I really want to tell you all about. It's really cool. The return is huge.
Your name should be Lawless. All right, thanks, everybody.